You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABBO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday, where it's all about casual conversations for serious workflows, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it's all about learning QuickBooks, other things at School of Bookkeeping, because we are in the midst of our 4-week cohort on AI in accounting. So we're just about wrapping up the third week. And it's really a cool aspect of the way this kind of unfolded, because we're learning as we go. And what we're ultimately doing is allowing people, not just accountants, but anyone who really wants to embrace ChatGPT and prompts and those types of things, to be able to teach and learn from the ChatGPT or AI. And we are all learning some things as we go. And you can check out the cohort, even if you are not actively participating. All sessions are recorded and you can watch them later. And we have quite a few folks that registered for the cohort but can't attend, so they watch the sessions afterwards. And I just wanted to throw there it is, QR code there in the upper right if you want to check out the cohort. But really cool thing that we're learning there, and how we can learn to embrace our AI overlords.
Yeah, I have to have ChatGPT. Now I'm to the point where I can't function without it.
Yeah. I think last week we're with AI. I think we mentioned that the new programming language is English, right? Because as long as you can communicate with some form of AI that already understands how to code and do HTML and all that stuff, you can just pretty much just ask it and say, hey, here's what I want to do it for me.
Yeah, like just 2 seconds ago I was asking, and what I like about it is that it not only does it give me a how, it also gives me and here's where you can also look. Like I just asked it, I need a alternative phone number, like customer facing, than my own phone number, so then I can forward it to my phone number. And so it'll say, oh yeah, this is how it works, and then check out these apps that will do it for you. So it like just gives me everything instead of just the Googling, where it just takes me down all these rabbit holes that I don't even know if that's the right thing that I should use, or if that even really was what I was wanting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and my big thing that I wanted to make sure that people are aware of is that hallucination, which is AI just making things up confidently, which it does, is not a flaw in AI. It is actually a feature, right? It's got to give you an answer, and it gives you an answer confidently. It can just give you a bad answer confidently, and being able to dissect the outputs that it gives you, and making sure that you're giving it the right inputs in order to minimize the hallucinations. Because I've seen AI confidently try to give people the wrong answer. And,
oh, me too. Me too. I've asked it information about journal entries, and it'll confidently give me unbalanced journal entries. And then I'll say, that's not right. It'll go, oh, you're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. Here you go. How can you be so confident?
I know. we could have saved ourselves this go around if you would have just gave me the answer the first time. Right?
But you know what? Like you were saying, it, it teaches you how to ask better,
Yeah.
refined questions.
Yeah. And you can even ask it to help me help you, right? Like,
Yeah,
hey, what do you need to know in order for me to get these good
exactly.
the answers
Exactly.
I'm looking for? And it will basically give you a recipe.
Yeah.
So it's it's a really a pretty amazing thing, and I think some of the feedback that we've had from the folks in the cohort is, why isn't everybody taking this? So, oh, did I turn off the? Anyway,
No,
so yeah,
everything's fine.
let's get to the crux of what it is that we're talking about here today, because um, the situation is that when you are converting from desktop to online, there is a common conception, no, misconception,
Misconception?
a common um, uh, mindset. I don't know, narrative. I don't know that uh, QuickBooks might or might not convert your payroll data.
Mm,
Right?
yeah.
It's if you are using, and here's the situation: if you are using QuickBooks Desktop Payroll inside of QuickBooks Desktop, when you convert, the it's kind of like a wheel, spin the wheel, a roulette wheel of, is it gonna create that? Right?
Yeah, I've
But
heard a lot of different stories from folks out
yeah,
there that have done that. So I don't know how to do it. And I know you do, you're the expert, but I've heard a lot of chitter chatter out there about it
right,
won't do this and it won't do that. And so I'm very curious to know what
yeah,
the real story is.
because there's a catch, right? If you set yourself up for success, then in theory, it should, right?
That's no help. It should.
Right. Um,
I
so
wanted
there's
I want to hear it will.
yes. Well, and, the jury is still out, right? Like, as to why, um, because the way that QuickBooks migrates data from desktop to online, right? This is just talking about inside the product, where you just click on export to QuickBooks Online and go through the little wizard. Um, that process, its main goal, of course, is to make sure that your financial picture of everything that you've done in QuickBooks Desktop makes the journey over to QuickBooks Online. After it does that, then it tries to set up payroll, right? So that there's wait a minute, how does it set up payroll after the financial impact? So as payroll goes over, paychecks and the liability adjustments and the actual payroll type of transactions, they go over as regular transactions to QuickBooks.
Okay.
And so they'll come over as checks, instead of paychecks, right? So, um,
Okay.
so the financial impact of this dollar amount goes to wages, this dollar amount goes to withholdings, this dollar amount goes to 401k deductions or garnishments or whatever. That split of that transaction will come over as a check, right? But not a paycheck, right? So you can't run
So
a payroll report with checks, right? So they have
right. So it'll
payroll checks.
be in your financials
Yeah,
with the correct dollar amount, but it
right.
won't necessarily be in the payroll center. Okay.
So, um, and as far as, oh, let me share my screen here, because I left and came back. So hold on a second. I got. I was all set to do all of this, and we were testing something beforehand. And lo and behold, there we go. So we had showed this before. This is the conversion page that we have at the resources over at School of Bookkeeping, where you can look at this spreadsheet that I've made, which gives an idea of what's in let me scroll to the top so you can see what's in QuickBooks Desktop, what's in QuickBooks Online, what to expect, differences between the two functionalities, because just because it's, looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, maybe it's a platypus, right? So maybe there's a little bit of uniqueness to it, right? So we call it what to expect Dan's pro tips in that column. And then the key question, does it convert to QBO? So if we go down to, let's see, separated into sections. So we got inventory, expense, payroll. There we go. So the payroll service, right? The green checks on both, right? So you can do payroll inside of QuickBooks Desktop. You can do payroll inside of QuickBooks Online. Now, QuickBooks Online Payroll is a separate subscription, and it's going to have a greater integration. So does it convert? It's got, it's a yellow. It's not a green check mark. Right? So yes and no. If the conversion is done correctly, payroll setup transfer. So employees, direct deposit information, pay rate, current year payroll history only, right? So
Okay.
so that.
And is that, sorry, quick question, but is that if you've created a new instance of QBO and then at that time you've also opted into QBO payroll, whether it's core or whatever, does that have to be on? And then when you convert the data, it'll populate that stuff?
Right. It used to be, when I worked there, that you could do nothing with payroll before you did the conversion. Right? So if like payroll was turned on prior to doing the conversion, that would cause this whole process to stop.
Oh,
Right?
that's insane, because like it seems like the natural thing to do would be, okay, here's my brand new QBO that I've purchased and it's ready to have the stuff converted. Right. And then when you sign up for QBO, it also says, do you want payroll? So then, yes, you'd never know to go, oh, let me wait on signing up for that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It used to be like when I worked there, if you ever touch payroll, you couldn't do a conversion. As a matter of fact, if it tried to do the conversion and it started to touch payroll and tried to set it up and it failed, we basically had to tell people you got to start another subscription because payroll was already activated through this process. Because that's what the migration does is it then activates the trial version of QuickBooks Payroll in order to set up the rest. Right?
Okay.
Now, since then, QuickBooks Online has now separated QuickBooks Online Payroll and QuickBooks Online, where you could have a QuickBooks Online Payroll subscription only without the accounting part of it.
Yeah.
And now, within the last year, you can now import your accounting data into QuickBooks Online Payroll, right? So if you had a subscription and you were using desktop for whatever reason, but doing the payroll outside of QuickBooks, and now you want to combine them into one subscription, you can now do that, right? So it is not requiring this payroll to be turned off in order to bring in your QuickBooks Online accounting data.
Okay. So now I could say, okay, great. I've now created my new instance of QBO. I've selected the payroll that I want. It's all blank and ready for conversion.
Yeah, because I couple weeks ago I was doing a conversion and they had payroll in desktop and there was a promotion that we were taking advantage of, and I was crossing my fingers and like, this may not work because they activated payroll. To my surprise, it actually did set up payroll. It's just you have to do certain things before you do the conversion in the desktop file, in order for that to be successful. And this whole thing came up when I was doing a conversion, probably a couple months ago. The company was a franchise, and they were retail, like a Bevmo type of store. It's, um, out they sold wine and spirits, right? So pretty high turnover in retail.
Mhm.
And in their desktop file, they had 431 employees. That throughout their history, right? They didn't have 431 active employees, but even in the year, they probably had about 50 or 60 um, employees. And I was not looking forward to setting up payroll for 56 or so employees in the year and entering in year to date information, and all of that stuff, right? So I happened upon, I remember when we were doing the updates. There was a workshop that we did probably about 6 months ago about updates to the migration process, and
Yes. Yeah.
and there was a checklist that shows up, and I was looking through it, and it has contextual things. Like if I do it in the file that I have open, it gives me four things. But if I do it in a file that has payroll and inventory turned on and all of those things, it gives me like nine things to look at. And
Oh,
when I looked at the payroll piece, there was something that caught my eye, and it said, in order to set up payroll properly, you need to be logged in as the payroll admin when you do the conversion, right?
you mean
So
in QBD as the payroll admin?
here's the here's the catch. In QuickBooks Desktop, yes, you need to be signed in as the payroll admin, and you need to be signed in to whoever is doing the conversion in
Hmm.
QuickBooks Online. That same login has to be the case, right? So you basically have to be signed in to desktop and online when you do the conversion as the same individual, right?
Well,
Here,
then they'd have to make you a payroll admin on the QBD side, I'm
it,
guessing.
it, exactly. So not everybody wants to do that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So to say, hey, I'll be able to set up your payroll, you just got to call Intuit and make me a payroll admin. No.
Yeah, no way, because that's got historical,
Yeah,
confidential information. I
e-
totally get that. That's really
exactly.
weird. Okay. I'm interested to see you. I'm guessing you have a workaround.
Yes.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so over here on this blog article, so let me go ahead and put the QR code up for that. Whoops, where'd it go? Blog article, there it is. And I'll put it in the chat. Oh, I have. Okay, so I got copy, paste. I really need Noah to do that. How dare he get a full-time job?
I know. Can you imagine the nerve?
But it is nice. We are actually in Michigan right now, so Rachel and I are in the same state,
Yes.
um,
And it's
and
actually nice now. We're not having weird rainstorms every day.
yeah, the weather is beautiful here. We just left from Pennsylvania, which is it was like raining constantly the whole time that we were. It was like Seattle.
Yeah,
Uh,
in Michigan, it can get like that in the
yeah,
summertime too. It's all about the pressure, so I'm told.
right. All right. So this blog article talks about, and there's a little audio dialogue of going people talking about it. So if you want to listen to the blog article, you can just listen to it up at the top. Uh, there's a little article in here about talking about desktop versus QuickBooks Online articles. But basically, the gist is, and this is what we're talking about, the ID that's inside of QuickBooks Desktop needs to be the same ID that is doing the conversion. So that's the general gist, right? So, and then it becomes a challenge for, and this will also work for the desktop payments accounts, right? So if you have payments attached to this company file, then this will move that account to QuickBooks Online without them having to reset up another
Oh, that's
payment
good.
account. So, um, but as far as payroll is concerned, because that's a lot more cumbersome than than setting up a new payments account. So I've got a little um, walkthrough of the whole process here on the blog article. So the first thing to do is press F2. So inside of QuickBooks Desktop, you press F2, and that brings up the product information window. And in the upper right here, that's where it will list the Intuit account information, right? And what you'll probably see here is your client's information if you're doing this on behalf of your client. Um, but the company Intuit ID will be listed in there, the primary admin's email and the admin's last sign in and all of that stuff, right? So here's what you do is you basically clear this out and put your stuff in there before you do the conversion. That is the end all goal, right? So it needs to be empty. If it's not empty and if it doesn't say null, then what you do is you go to the help menu. You're logged in as the admin inside of the QuickBooks desktop file. You go to the help menu. There is this button or a menu option called Reset Intuit ID Settings, right? Now, you won't see this if you're not the admin. So you got to be logged in as the admin user, not the admin Intuit login, but the admin user, right? ADMIN when you
Right.
sign in to QuickBooks Desktop. So you'll have this menu option that says Reset Intuit ID Settings. You then say yes, you got to type yes in order to do that. And then you click the reset button and it gives you a confirmation that your Intuit ID settings were reset and you're signed out of your company account. Then what you do is then associate your login, which should be the same login that you're going to be doing the migration with, to the company inside of the desktop company. So this is totally just for this whole purpose, right? So you would go, let me go back here because I may have clicked here. Oh, yeah. So you want to go to company, my company, and then click sign in, but apparently my screenshot cut it off. So it's up over here. There's a little icon or a link that says sign in right above the manager account. So I'll have to update the scribe here. Once you do that, you're going to select the option of you are the admin. You're just going to say just for today that you are the admin that manages the company file. And then you're going to sign in. And it just walks you through that whole process. Then when you click on or you press F2, you'll see your information in that Intuit. Let me go back to the.
So if you log in as an admin user, then you can, I guess for all intents and purposes, create your username as an admin.
Right.
Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, you're just
so that gives you the admin privileges that
right.
It gives that user the admin privileges needed to, which that's the same user on the QBO side. So it gives you the admin privileges to be able to do the conversion.
Right. Now you don't need to, if you're the accountant in this mix and you're the accountant user inside of the QuickBooks Online subscription, not the primary admin, that is totally fine because you are a company admin as an accountant user. So you'll be able to do that as the accountant user. You don't have to be the primary admin in the QBO subscription in order to do this process because technically you are a company admin as the accountant user as far as permissions are concerned. But if you were sales associate or something like that, or that was your role in the company, you would not be able to do the conversion once you signed in. But all this is doing is connecting the Intuit ID with the company file with the Intuit ID of the QuickBooks Online subscription.
Yep.
And as long as both of them have admin privileges to both the desktop and the QuickBooks Online company realm, then all fingers crossed, then payroll will get set up. So this second example where we had already established the payroll subscription, um, when I went to go and convert their file, it said in desktop, hey, you're only going to be able to import your accounting data. So I'm like, oh crap. Um, this is not great, right? Because I don't want to set up their, I want to take the time to set up their payroll if it would be done for me. I called Intuit support, and there's a lot. They have that conception that it's hit or miss. You're likely going to have to set it up from scratch, and they were trying to tell me that. I'm like, I don't think that's true.
How did you find this out then?
How did I find it out? That was
This workaround.
the checkbox inside of QuickBooks Desktop. So that checklist
Right.
is what it says. And it's worded in such a way that if you're logged in as the admin, right? People could assume that's all they need to do, right? Log in as the admin. But in
Right.
reality, it's the Intuit login needs to be the admin. So you have to associate the Intuit admin with the QuickBooks Desktop user admin. Right? So there's just far too many admins.
There are, because it is confusing, but I'm telling you though, I bet you a lot of people have run into this issue, and I
Oh
bet
yeah,
you for those that do this kind of thing, this could be a total lifesaver.
yeah. I mean, with that company with 431 employees, right? So
Yeah, because their other alternative would be to set it up from scratch, and I bet you that people do that because they don't
yeah,
think that there's another alternative.
because I had done this with one of their other franchises, and I had to go through probably 30, um, 30 employees, run different payroll reports from for the first quarter and the year to date. Right? If you ever set up payroll mid year, it's a nightmare.
Oh,
In
it's a total nightmare. And by the way, some of these franchises, I had a franchise client that had such high turnover. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of the employees that were there for, I don't know, a week or two. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is I'm thinking a potential huge
Oh
lifesaver.
yeah. Yeah. Because for that, it took me the better part of 2 days of just staring at spreadsheets, reports,
Yeah.
copying and pasting numbers from one to the other.
Oh,
And so when they, well, this one's got more employees, I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to do that. Um,
yeah.
and and I knew I talked to Blaze, who's a really great guy over at Intuit, and he's like, it should be set up for you. It's all part of that initiative of, hey, we don't want you to be able to have to set all this up again. But
Yeah.
there is, especially when we're dealing with payroll itself, right? There's a lot of personally identifiable information. Like
Yeah.
every employee's got their social security number in there, so it can't just be open for that to be floating out there.
Exactly. Exactly. Now,
So
so when you did that conversion following this with the 400 and something employees, what was the outcome?
the outcome is that all of the employees were set up. There was a few things, right? So they were in South Carolina, so QuickBooks Online Payroll had a number that needed to be associated for state unemployment that wasn't in the desktop file for whatever
Okay.
reason. So I had to get those numbers from the employer and enter them in, but their Social Security, their pay rates, everyone's hourly pay was set up properly. Their PTO, uh, the time was set up. Deductions was all set up, and their direct deposit was
Wow.
was set up for them. The only thing I had to do was basically confirm the numbers as opposed to um, entering the numbers. Right.
What
So
about oh yeah, confirming. which is a lot better. And then what about attachments if they have, W-4s or any of that stuff in there?
We had talked about that about a month ago on
Yeah.
the workshop. If they had attachments, um, there's a process to be able to do that. You have to
Yeah.
get the attachments from them, make sure that they're local, and those types of things. And but reattaching those types of things to employees would probably be a pretty easy task of the payroll admin there, right? If they had
Yeah.
them available, they just throw them in there. But yeah, I was just elated actually when it worked. And then when the company that we had already set up payroll, that I was getting the mixed signals that it actually did set up the payroll for them. Again, it was just confirming now they only had 2 employees. So it wasn't a hardship if I would have had to go through the entire payroll setup. But I was pleasantly surprised that even though we had payroll established already in their subscription inside of QuickBooks Online, it was still able to set up the payroll properly. But
Great.
you had to go through this step first, right? You had to clear out the Intuit ID out of QuickBooks, reset it, and then associate it with the same Intuit ID that is actually going to be doing the conversion. And lo and behold, I was the hero.
That's awesome.
um, so yeah, so this is a hidden nugget, and hopefully, this will be no longer hidden. It's just the caveat of all of that, and the misunderstanding of admin, right? Because
Yeah.
you've got the QuickBooks desktop admin user, you've got the Intuit ID that has admin privileges inside of desktop, and then you've got the Intuit ID that's associated with QuickBooks Online that is also an admin.
And is there such a thing that not the admin user in desktop, but if somebody's logged in as their self and they're assigned admin privileges, is that a thing or is
Yeah.
it no, they always have to be logged in as the admin?
Only the admin user in desktop can do the conversion, right? So
Okay,
you have to be signed in as the admin
as the
user,
admin. Okay.
and sometimes there's not the Intuit ID associated with that admin user. Like they never did go through and sign in inside of their company file to associate a company ID to the desktop, right? So and
Okay.
then that's relatively new, probably within the last 2 3 years. That has been where you've seen this sign in to QuickBooks Desktop, and it helps with password recoveries and being able to reset your admin password when you forget it or type it in so many times incorrectly and it gets you locked out or something like that. So, um, being able to associate an Intuit ID with your user ID inside of QuickBooks Desktop is a relatively new process, and a lot of
Okay.
people have just skipped it. um,
And the
which
whole subject of Intuit IDs, it's
we got a
not
blog
easy.
article for that too.
It's not easy.
Yeah, and it is challenging to grasp. When I worked there. Um, there was this thing called an auth ID, right? It was just an internal term that they would call, and that was basically the number that represents the login. Right? But the challenge is that they used the same term for the login auth ID as the company user auth
Okay.
ID. So I'm like, oh my goodness, which auth ID are we talking about here? So it was just
Yeah.
equally as confusing to us internally as it was externally. So if we didn't know what we were talking about, it sounded like it. when we would talk about it to people. But it really, once we grasp that concept of there is a persona, right? And there's a login, and they are connected through the service, whatever that happens to be, whether it's QuickBooks Online or payroll or payments or whatever. You're going to have this um, persona associated with your login, and it's kind of, I would explain it to people like you have a driver's license and you have a car, right? So the driver's license allows you to drive the car, but you certainly, you can drive other cars too, right? So that
Yeah,
license allows you to go to different cars and drive them. Now
that's a
you may
really
be
good analogy.
you
Yeah,
may be a
because like,
passenger, you may be sitting in the back, you might be sitting in the trunk,
yeah,
right?
and you also may be using the ID for other things like going to the airport.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. So um, sometimes I feel like, though, that concept of you can use the same ID for multiple logins to different things. I sometimes find that to be even just causing more confusion. I actually would prefer to have a different login for every little thing, just because I just, like, with password managers, it's easy to keep it all straight. And I feel like the more I've had more problems and confusion using the same login with
Hmm.
other products. I don't know. I just, that doesn't work for me. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's
Well, I
probably it.
mean, I think now logging into things, whatever they are, not just QuickBooks, is the bane of people's uh,
Oh yeah.
existence these days. And in the nature, in trying to straddle the convenience factor of signing into something with um, the security that is necessary for signing into something, is is the fence that we're straddling both sides of these days. Password managers, right? But of course, LastPass was targeted, and there was a breach, right? So
Mhm.
now, your your safeguarded passwords that you the complex passwords that you'd all set up with LastPass are now just floating out there.
Yeah.
So it's it's a challenge to make it simple to sign in, but also make it hard enough so that it keeps people honest. And that's a challenge, a challenge of the world that we live in today. Um, my wife just got busted for a phishing email test at work, so now she has to go through training. Uh,
No, are you serious?
yeah, so like when they do those tests, a fake spoofing phishing email, and she was just, I don't know if it was late at night or whatever, but clicked on it. Oh no.
Oh, clicked on the thing when she probably shouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's the nugget for today in our workshop of being able to set up payments and payroll um, without setting up payments and payroll, letting it do the heavy lifting by being able to do that. And that is all a caveat of um, resetting the Intuit ID inside of the desktop file so that you are the admin when you do
Yeah.
the conversion.
This is such great information too, and I'm glad that this is going to be saved. And I'll definitely point people to the School of Bookkeeping blogs for it, because I just am I and more people are doing conversions than ever, and I just
Yeah.
feel like this is going to solve a lot of problems for
Yeah.
people, because I feel like I always hear people saying that they're just going to re-enter it manually.
Mhm. Yeah. And even when you get that message from the people that essentially should know, the Intuit support folks, um, that's the mindset that they live by. Right? So
Yeah.
they've seen it fail too many times to be able to say with confidence that yeah, it should work, right? Because nobody calls Intuit to tell them that it's set up payroll correctly. They only call when it does. Right?
Yeah.
It's you hear from the squeaky wheels. in that regard. So next week we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? No, I've lost it here. Next week is scrolling down. Wow, we do a lot of
Ooh,
these things.
new AI powered bank feed.
Yes, yes, we're going to be going over the bank feed that has been updated, and we'll kind of comb through some of those changes
I love it.
because, especially, yeah, yeah, I hear the sarcasm. And
I'm representing I'm the delegate for a number of people that don't love it.
yeah, it's actually not so bad.
Okay, then I'm very much looking forward to it.
And it's not something that you're gonna just hold on to the old bank feed and eventually it's gonna stay back that way. No, this is something that is gonna be. This is a resistance is futile,
I
right?
know, because I
So
keep clicking on that, go back to the old way, and that's going to go away soon.
there will be a point where clicking back to the old way is not going to be an option.
I know.
So being able to understand what those changes are and how to gripe about it in a way where it's actually constructive is going to be the
Yeah,
ideal way to move forward.
I'm definitely all for that, because once I understand how to use it, the way it's intended and the best practices, then I'm fine with it. It's just that when I don't have a lot of time and I'm just,
Yeah.
and it's just easier to go back and do it the old way. That's kind of what where I am right now.
It's the double-edged sword, right? We had this a lot with desktop, right? In order for QuickBooks to install an update, QuickBooks had to be closed, right? So the best time to ask for that is when you're launching QuickBooks. Hey, can we install an update? And that's the worst time to ask for that because somebody's trying to do something by opening QuickBooks, right?
Yeah.
So there's this dichotomy of like, when is the best time to actually install your updates? And it's just like Windows updates, right? It just, oh, you're restarting your machine. Can we install the Windows updates now?
Yeah.
So next week we're going to be talking and combing through the differences in the new AI powered or suggested bank feeds. So we hopefully you can join us then for that. In the meantime, I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday. And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I'm Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next week.